Alright, it's time to do something I've been wanting to do for a while. I've wanted to start reviewing TV shows, and with Game of Thrones Season 3 premiering in 2 weeks, I figured I'll review Season 1 this week, and next week I'll review Season 2, and then once Season 3 premieres, I'll review each episode as it premieres. Now, Game of Thrones as a show, I'm just gonna flat out say it's fantastic. It's one of the best shows on TV today. There with Justified, Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, shows like that, shows I love. In short, if you haven't watched this show, go watch it right now. But if you have, this is going to be a spoiler-filled review, so let's just get started. It's actually kind of hard to find a starting point because you have so many different characters that I should probably talk about, but I'm probably going to miss some of them. I'm just going to start with Ned Stark, who is essentially the main character of Season 1. He's Lord of Winterfell, he protects the North, but one day the King's Hand dies, and the King comes up to offer him a spot as the new Hand of the King. So he gets roped into that, he goes back down to King's Landing, and that's how he got there. We also meet the Targaryens, who are across the sea, exiled because of their father, who was the Mad King, who the new king, or the one that's there right now, overthrew. And there are also these guys called the Lannisters. They're very rich. The Queen is a Lannister, and she has two brothers, Jaime and Tyrion. Tyrion's a midget, or an imp, as they call him in the show. Now, I don't want to go into so many plot details that this review will end up being over a half hour, so I'm just going to go over some of the main points that I really loved in the season. I guess for the first scene of the show, you have these guys who are up at the Wall, which is far north. It's a place that protects the realm, and the people who protect and serve on the Wall are called the Night's Watch, and you see a few of these guys that are beyond the Wall. They end up at this camp, and you just see a bunch of dismembered limbs, heads, and there's this one kid who's just stabbed through a tree, and eventually creeps him out, and then one of them gets killed, and another one gets picked off, and the last guy, he just sees this thing. It has blue eyes. It looks like a zombie, except more blue, kind of like the Frost Giants. That's what they are. They kind of remind me of Frost Giants, except they have really glowing blue eyes, and they're not 8 feet tall. They're like human-sized, but they're like zombies, and they're called White Walkers. I found that scene to be really interesting, even though it was very difficult to follow because you don't really have any clue what's going on. It was still a very cool scene nonetheless. And at the end of episode 1, you see that Cersei and Jaime are together, and one of Ned's sons, his name is Bran, sees it. Jaime pushes him off of a ledge, hoping to kill him. That doesn't work, but he makes him a cripple. That was one of the things that really hooked me into this show. Like, it makes me hate those characters, but it really gets me interested to watch more of the show, and that's what you really need, something to hook you. That's what really got me in there. And later on the show, you start seeing that King's Landing is just a disgusting place where everyone's willing to stab everybody in the back just to get a little bit farther ahead. And Ned starts finding out things like the fact that Cersei and Jaime are together, and the fact that Robert never actually had any sons with Cersei. They're all Jaime's children, so there's no real heir to the throne there, even though one kid named Joffrey, who's a giant cunt, thinks that he deserves the throne. But once King Robert gets back from his hunt, he is mortally wounded, and he tells Ned that he wants him to be the next king of the realm, or protector of the realm, until Joffrey comes of age. Ned never tells him. It just sucks. This show, it's just so terrible if you're rooting for people. Ned eventually rounds up an army to try and go take the throne back, because Joffrey, as soon as King Robert died, just went and sat on the throne like it was his. So he shows them the note that Robert made. Cersei just, rips it up. And Ned is betrayed, and he's thrown into a dungeon cell. His son, who is named Robb, who is being Lord of Winterfell while he's gone, hears about this, and he starts gathering an army to march south to free his father. Oh man, one character I'm forgetting, I'm sorry. Tyrion Lannister. He's a fantastic character. Peter Dinklage is amazing in this role. He's so funny, and every single time he's on screen, I just get much more interested, even though I'm already loving the show. He's just such a fantastic character. I really love everything about him, and his story in this season really isn't that great, but he still just makes it fantastic. Because while Bran is still knocked out from that fall that Jaime gave him, there's an attempt on his life from nobody. You don't know who it is, but they see that it's a Lannister sword. They know it was Tyrion, so they take him to this place called the Eyrie, where Ned's wife's sister is. This show gets really confusing, and if I had all the names, I'd just get even more confusing. That's why I'm just saying things like that. And he's tried for his crimes, but eventually he wins this fight. He has a guy that helps him fight his way out of there, and he eventually ends up at the camp where the Lannisters are because they know Robb Stark is moving south. Now Robert's dead, Joffrey's on the throne, Ned is betrayed. His daughter Sansa pleads with Joffrey. She just wants her father to be safe and not die. So Joffrey says that if he pleads guilty to treason, that he will let Ned live the rest of his life on the wall. And the biggest part of the show then happens. Ned goes to confess for his crimes, and Joffrey kills him. Not Joffrey himself, he has someone else do it for him, of course. But nevertheless, Ned is dead. That was one of the biggest game changers for the show. I already knew it was going to happen when I was originally watching the show, unfortunately. That would have caught me off guard completely, though, I admit that. But just seeing that, it's such a terrible thing. He was one of my favorite characters. I'm sure everybody loved him. Even if he did make some stupid mistakes, like telling Cersei that he knew about what she did with Jaime, it was such a terrible thing to see, and I really want Joffrey to die in a pit of burning acid flames. I really hope he dies soon. That is a credit to the actor, though. I think his name's Jack Gleeson. He's fantastic. Wait, I can hate a character this much. I have to give credit to the actor. It's just such a fantastically evil role. And that's one thing I should just cover now. The acting on the show all across the board is fantastic, no matter how small or large the characters are. They're just great in their roles. And one or two things I left out. Robb eventually moves south on the Lannisters. He charges Jaime Lannister's camp, and he takes Jaime Lannister prisoner. And at the end of season 1, he is proclaimed king in the north. So they're rebelling against King's Landing, and that's how that ends for the season. Oh shit, I completely forgot to talk about the Targaryens again. About halfway through the season, Viserys is very pent up and hates the fact that the army that he paid for isn't really doing anything yet, and they kind of refuse to cross the sea to go over to Westeros. And he gets drunk, and he's really stupid, and then he gets gold poured on his head by the king, and he is killed, which I thought was a great scene. That whole episode of Golden Crown is just amazing. Just every single interaction between every character is fantastic. And that final scene was amazing. I loved seeing that bitch die. And by the end of the season, the king, or Khal Drogo, is dead, and Daenerys hatches dragon eggs, so now dragons are back in this world. They were gone for hundreds of years. And it's just so cool to see. The dragons are cute right now. I think they're gonna get really ugly looking soon based on what I saw for season 3, but just the way it plays out, I really hope that she eventually reaches the other side of the sea and actually charges. I've talked a lot about plot now, going into why I really love the show, just the entire sets that they make. Wherever they film, I don't know if it's on green screen, some of it could be, but a lot of it seems like they're actually on location, and it looks amazing. Every single little detail that they put into the show is amazing, and it's what really sucks me into this world. And the CGI, when they actually use it, is very well done, especially for a TV show. And this show's really bloody when it has to be, especially during fights, and I think it just adds to the show. It's really, really cool to watch. The story is well done, the acting is amazing, the sets are well made, the costuming is fantastic. Just everything about the show just pulls together into one amazing experience. Even when your favorite characters die, you still want to watch it because of how amazing it is overall. And that's just a testament to how great the show is. To rate Game of Thrones Season 1, I'm going to give it an A. It's just a fantastic TV show, and I think it just gets better with Season 2, so I can't wait to review that next week. So if you guys watch Game of Thrones, what did you think of Season 1? What was your favorite moment of Season 1? Honestly, mine was probably when Viserys got his crown. That was just such a cool scene. Rate me for comments down there and tell me what you think. Hey, if you like this video, hit that subscribe button down there, because if you don't, well, keep with it, I'll give you a crown.